As per usual, it's been a minute. It's been a bit of a year, but here we are. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. Hopefully, it's actually showing everything okay. It actually just froze up on me real quick, but that's okay. We'll hope it's all good and go on from there. So okay, continuing on with the One Vision solo here. So last time when we left off, we're at kind of an interesting point where we're kind of at the end, but at the same time, we can't quite proceed to the end because the actual ending got made a bit more difficult right before we got here. So, we'll see how that all ends up playing out. But I did end up doing a little bit of grindy type stuff in the background here. So, basically what we're going on with Mr. One Man here, I don't remember how much was the case last time. Again, it's been like 2 months, I think, since the last one of these. But yeah, maxed out Whips and Ogdark, TP3, basically going for a kind of a self-regenerating kind of crazy build here. I was hoping to up Demonology at some point, but yeah, that's when an interesting realization came about, in which it turns out that well, there's not really many good ways to train up Demonology outside of the POTD. So, best option, kind of going forward here, is probably switching that out for something else for the time being, and then kind of heading over this direction here. So I am seeing a warning for dropped frames showing up here. What's that all about? Yeah, 26% dropped frames. What is that about? So, just so you know, I am in the process of getting the computer and all that rebuilt again. There were a few different bits and pieces that needed to be redone, some odd stuff that happened. So either way, we'll get that done as we'll get it done. But anyway, so since we don't actually have a whole lot of time here today, I just had a little window. I just wanted to see about figuring out ways that we can get Demonology up for one, and then for another, go over kind of a plan that I was thinking of here. So first order of business, let's see how far we can actually get in Palace of the Dead, because this is just kind of completely winging it. I don't think I even have many exorcism items on me. There's actually going to be better ways to potentially train it, I'm sure, but I want to see if we can actually pull off that first fight at this point. Realistically, probably not. But either way, we'll get there when we get there, and oh, you know what? Hang on, I think I see what's causing the problem. One quick second. Alright, here's hoping that fixed the issue. There were a couple things trying to run in the background. So yeah, this will probably be one of the probably later, if not one of last of bits done on this particular computer. So since it's possible to stream off the Vita itself, I don't have to worry about transferring saves and all that. But yeah, we'll see. We will see. Because yeah, ideally the Frankenstein 2.0, as I'm just going to go ahead and call it, should hopefully do a bit of a... Well, we'll see if it does a little better these days. If not, you know what, whatever, we'll figure it out. Okay, so, general problems that we were running into at this point. So since we're in the end game now, since we're in kind of the 20 to 30 gap here, this guy in particular is going to have a bit of a hard time actually finishing off some units. So that's actually why we were going for TP3 here. So basically a fully charged bar, you can more or less ignore a lot of defenses at that point, because basically after it gets to 100, Every additional TP point, depending kind of on how they scale, can generally be seen as 1 extra damage. Now, if you're way under threshold, then yeah, it's going to be a bit of a different story. If you're way over threshold, you might do a little more sometimes. It's not like it ever gets to the point of adding maybe 3 more per attack or anything, but either way, they can essentially explode, so that's pretty handy to have. By the way, if there's occasionally a cough here or there, I apologize. It is very dry. Basically, winter hit us like a ton of bricks over in Michigan here. So we basically got the sucky kind, so you don't get the fun of the snow, but at the same time, everything's so dry that even a humidifier in full blast does absolutely nothing. See, is there a guide to where all the gear is in this mod? Actually, funnily enough, there was a guy. Here, let me see if I can find the link real quick. There was a guy. Do you have the... actually, here, if you put !guide, I believe that was the command, it'll pull up the One Vision guide, and actually, there's a lot of resources on there from other people as well. So I wrote the guide. Most of the charts and spreadsheets and stuff like that are from other folks. There's a guy, what's his name? Lolly something, which I wasn't sure exactly how to put his name there. But anyway, he actually had a series of drop tables and stuff like that that you put together. So yeah, if you look under the initial glossary of that one, it's there. Which actually, speaking of guides, so I'm not sure how many folks would have originally seen like the old Brady Games guide and stuff like that from back in the day. But I've personally had an interest in getting a hold of one of those for absolutely ages. So let's see, the page can't be found. Looks like nothing is found at this location. Maybe try a search. Hang on. No, that should work. One moment. We're gonna fix this. We're gonna go slap around a ferry while we wait. But yeah. So realistically, if this map is actually clearable, then I'm gonna say best odds are probably gonna be something along the lines of going for an Armageddon nuke on most units. Like any squishy, generally about the 225, 250 mark. Most squishies will go down to that. Most clerics go down at 260 plus. Yeah, no, the link works just fine. Why is it not coming up on your end? But yeah, there's section 23 of that first one. Yeah, Lolly Sauce, that was his name. Wait, really? Page not found. What? Hang on. Let me let him know. Because he literally gave me the permission to put up this chart like a day ago. So it's like, this is fresh info. You know what? More than likely what it is, since they were using a Google, I think they were using like a Google Dropbox or something like that. Or a Google Drive, rather. Here, let me reach out to him. Yeah. I think what I'm probably going to have to do is download them and re-upload them elsewhere. Hopefully well, it sounded like he'd be cool with that. But anyway, it wouldn't be for the purpose of like, oh man, look, I totally did this thing. No, I didn't. He did the work on those. Rakes did the modding work on all this thing. But in both cases, they update charts that have a tendency to create broken links every time they update them. So that's where that lands. Now, okay, so as you can see, right now Armageddon gives a 175. So more than likely, we're getting about 1 per point, give or take, in this particular instance. So if you're wondering what the deal is with this whip build, by the way, why exactly I'm going for the whip build, it basically boils down to being able to heal on both actions, as well as kind of just passively regenerate the entire time, while still having enough pretty solid punch to be able to just keep going under a lot of circumstances. So before the healers get close, because they've got a good long walk ahead of them, we're just going to go for a plume. So plume plus double rank 8 plus Armageddon generally will get damage up to the 500 range in this particular case. Let's see, we've been playing them on, trying to figure out where to get all the spells and armor. Is there anything in particular you're looking for? Because I might be able to help you out there. What's funny is I was actually working on a series of different mods, or not mods, but series of different charts myself. Well, pages on the guide, I guess, is the better way to put it. Because, come to think of it, I probably should just post them directly on the page. But yeah, when it comes to this mod, stuff changes about every month, so that's kind of where some of those frustrations lie. Multi-hit 2s and Forbiddens. Multi-hit 2s, I believe most of those are going to be around San Bronza. Actually, most of the multi-hit 2s are generally going to be in the same locations as before. Forbiddens are in the same place. Most of the stuff that changed is equipment. So, for example, like there's a new one-handed two-hander called a Wukong. That one's available in POTD, and there's one particular guy that uses it. And basically, anytime... So, if you see a guy that has a unique weapon of some kind, they will always drop it. If you know that there's a crafting book somewhere, they will always drop it. So, it's pretty handy there. So yeah, with that one strengthen, got us up to 182, so we're still getting... Now we don't have strengthen up anymore. That probably should be, realistically, about like 240, 260-ish. So yeah, this is the point in endgame where you usually don't want to run off something that scales strength. So the White Knight is the only one that can realistically say without any shadow of a doubt that they will be able to actually get their strength off there. So what we want to do is actually get down there to those healers. So we're going to take a little bit of a happy heal here. But anyway, so what I was getting at earlier with that guide, so I went back and even looked through old internet archives and stuff like that. I've been looking for a PDF of that first like 700-page official guide for the longest time. Not to try to cheap out on actually getting it, but the original guide was like I think $30 or something. It's about 70 to 150 these days, just because of the fact that there's nothing like that available for some reason. It appears at some point somebody tried to upload a English and Japanese version, which they had the Japanese version, which they uploaded as pictures, which I went and compiled into a PDF, and I'll probably post that up somewhere if anyone's interested in looking at the pictures. Like, personally for me, I'm just interested in taking a look at how they presented all of the original stuff. I am fairly certain over the course of this mod, there's been more mechanical discoveries than would possibly be in there, but I mean, just looking at the pictures, it's so pretty, dang it. It's really nice to look at. So, if I manage to get my hands on on an English version of that at some point, like I was honestly considering just seeing if my wife would get it for me for Christmas or something, but we'll see if the year manages to not suck enough to actually not feel horrible about asking for anything for Christmas this year. Man, this year can suck it. Anyway. So, what was I getting at? Oh yeah, so with that guide, so yeah, I originally was looking at it just for the pictures there, but man, there's a lot more mechanical, in-depth stuff in there than I possibly would have expected, which I guess it stands to reason. It is a 700-page guide. It literally covers the details of everything, even having full spreadsheet breakdowns of the exact tile benefits and whatever else of different types of terrain throughout the game. Going down exactly who's available, where, and how. And then I was like, you know what? It would be real nice to actually have something like that handy. Kind of wish I had that ages ago, but oh well. Such is how it is. The thing's out of print these days, and yeah. Oh yeah, so what I was saying is, yeah, somebody tried apparently to upload the Japanese and the English version, but the one that's marked English is still just Japanese, so I can only assume they tried and then just made a mistake, so that kind of sucked. But if that happens, I was planning to actually go and just upload it just for posterity's sake, because seriously, those things are out of print. If nobody else is going to put one up, then yeah, realistically, it would be good to do that just for preservation's sake. Anywho, yeah, so this particular... So POTD, I don't think we're doing just yet. Because really, So when it comes to getting extra class marks, the thing is, I need to use White Knight for some things, but I can't use it for everything. And I only have a couple marks for that left. So the best option is still going to be probably just going through Hanging Gardens and rolling back for more. The other option was to make it to floor 13 of POTD. Let's see. What do we want to do? Let's just have a quick think and do a quick timeout fight while we think about it. Because when it comes to the temples, we're going to run into a very similar issue, where they've got a lot of higher-end units, a lot of them are not going to be terribly slow, and generally speed is the kind of downfall of everything right now. So we've still got Hanging Gardens open. I think it's realistic to get through Hanging Gardens. The thing is, I don't know if we can get to Dorgawa. Or rather, I don't know if we can directly beat the guy. So what we need is to somehow have a way to rank up, rank up Demonology. Now, thing is, Demonology and, was it like Umbrology or whatever else? For whatever reason, there's some very oddly specific skills out there. So, in this instance, we kind of have a situation where I can't actually get Demonology up in any convenient manner. But I'm thinking the swamp might be one way to go. We might also potentially have some better luck going through. Going through Farampa and then doing the zombie map over there, because I believe some of those are counted as phantoms. Oh, sweet Jesus. You know what? I still have no explanation for this one. For these random folks like this. It's like, there's absolutely zero logic to why exactly I'm getting spam bots. I mean, it's such a small account. Such a small dang account, it's not anything that's particularly popular game-wise, and yet for some reason, like clockwork, they're always there. Why are they always there? But anyway, Mr. Brown Bear, if you happen to still be around, how have you been liking the mod so far? Bad blood, that's fine. Not ideal, but still workable. So this is the other reason that I went for Warlock here. So the Still Remedy's pretty good for these kinds of situations. So I guess technically we can go for a cudgel build on this guy, because he can actually function similarly to how we were doing the Cleric, although he has a few more defensive options on hand, as well as a few different defense options, or offense options, rather. So, for example, if we wanted to go sword and board while still doing the same strategy, it's possible. Like, doing the Bad Blood setup, honestly, probably would be one of the safer ways to go. Simply because Bad Blood has the nice bonus of being able to occasionally finish off certain units. But yeah, right now right now we're kind of in an odd place. Because maybe going for swords is the best play. Because we need to deal with a lot of units at one time. The only downside of the Bad Blood strategy is that if it can't finish somebody off, you're stuck. Now, thankfully, Distill Life is actually cheap enough that it's worth using for only a tiny bit of health here. Just go ahead and get these guys set up. So, that's actually one thing I want to test right here. If we use Aura to basically set them up with Dark Averse and then use Armageddon, I wonder if Armageddon actually scales Dark against that. I'm actually not sure. Alright, it is slightly frozen on my end, probably because I forgot to turn off Chrome. There we go. Hopefully once the new Frankenstein computer is put together, we'll have a bit more options as far as that goes. but okay. So 181, 30. Yeah, that is definitely significantly scaling. Okay, so that's potentially another trick up our sleeve. So yeah, that's worth doing. Okay. So we'll take another heal turn here. So in that case, yeah, we've got a good setup. So instead of going for strength, we use aura, give everybody dark reverse, do a little bit of damage, get that debuff set up. It would be. I'm trying to think if there's any mass breach move that we could do. Because mass breach would also help in this case. Yeah, there very well might be. Please miss. Good. Good. Alright, that should be nice and set up. In fact, despite the fact that I have those ones set up, I can't help but notice that the clerics put themselves right next to them. Or right next to them. Yeah, that is significant. Okay. However, that said, yeah, it's not worth it going after those two yet. Alright, let it rip then. Yeah, so when you get a spawn like this, sometimes it's better to go and directly charge the healers. Basically, if you can one-shot the healers, it's better off going for them. If you can just overpower their healing, then that's a better choice. Thankfully, most of the time, these guys will repeatedly try to attack you like this, and in a lot of cases, the AI will figure, okay, an all heal is better than like a heal 3, so pretty handy there. Yeah, so unfortunately, because of all the craziness this year, streams have become a little bit of a rarity. I mean, I apologize on that. I've been trying to resolve that as much as I can, but yeah, it's a bit of a hard sell this year. It's for lack of a better way to put it. I know a lot of folks have been having a whole lot of issues. Like on our end, it kind of feels like we're just digging out of one avalanche after another. But yeah. So in a lot of cases, like for example, since the last time that we did one of these, actually both had and ended up having to leave a well, basically an overnight position, just going and assembling stuff. Which honestly, I would have stuck around with it a bit more, but it became untenable. Like it was to the point where my original plan was, go work at this factory place, make a decent living there for a bit, and then just come back. We have some folks helping us, so maybe rely on them a little bit, and then yeah, just try to catch up that way. Hopefully, catch up some sleep while the kids are taking a nap. So I would basically go at midnight, work until the morning, come back, have a morning meeting to go to, get the kiddos breakfast during that, watch them during the day, wind up doing that for most of it until. Well, basically until we got to lunchtime, and then just kind of hope they would take a nap. And then for like a week in a row, they would take a nap of maybe 30 minutes or so, so I would try to get some sleep during that time. And then we just wake up getting bashed in the head with a Lego. Or just like, in one case, he just was chucking random objects at me and whatever else. Like, Daddy, good morning! Oh, man. It's hard to even be mad at him because my son's gotten really, really polite lately. It's kind of adorable, but yeah, it was not great. But that's kind of where all that wound up. So, long story short, because, well, I mean, I guess it's already told at this point, isn't it? Yeah, once all that was going, then started noticing that the carpal tunnel was coming back pretty quick from trying to work there. Started realizing that, 4 days in a row of basically trying to get by on 30 minutes or less of sleep. Like, yeah, you know what? The entire world is haze. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure this is gonna work exactly. So, wound up having to shelve that particular idea. But what can you do? I will say, at least it's better to have the option to willingly leave a willingly leave a place of employment this year than actually see it go under, because that's been kind of the norm all year. Like, start a job, immediately they're like, yeah, so we're getting shafted by the virus, hope y'all feel like working for free, and then everyone leaves, and yeah. So that's always fun. But yeah, stuff's, I say this every time, but stuff's hopefully looking up. It's good to be optimistic. It's actually probably the only way that this run has managed to make any kind of progress whatsoever. So I'm thinking, yeah, you know what? When I was asking earlier, if we combine it with Melta, I need to see if he can use Melta. I don't think he can. But if we eventually spec into Lord, go Melta, and Melta Armageddon, that could be interesting. Not to mention it'd be a good defensive option as well. Alright, so she's at 148. It's worth triggering it at this point, going a little bit early. Oh, that's what's causing so much lag. It's Steam. Hi, Steam. Sometimes Steam just decides to sit in the background and try to launch itself for, like, a year. Always fun when that happens. There we are. But yeah, once it becomes possible to hopefully do streams on a more regular schedule again, my hope is, well, I have a few hopes doing that one. For one thing, I would really like to, improve the overall quality of all of it, for one. I had eyes on a few potentially more cost-effective ways to do so. So we'll see about going about that route. And on top of that, there's a lot of different runs that I've been hoping to try. So obviously the Stubborn Wretch challenge, I was posting that a while ago. That I consider to be like the final end-all be-all vanilla run. I really don't see how there's any fun way to do anything beyond that with vanilla. Because basically that is the soloist solo run you can ever do, with probably the most punishing rule set that is still theoretically possible. But, we'll see. Another one that, I don't know how many folks have seen this one, but the Sheena challenge. I think that's how it's pronounced. I mean, I know when I was doing my own runs of it, I was calling the team Sheening Force, but anyway, it's a guy out of the Chinese community, interestingly enough, that has a very punishing rule set of his own that he set up. I will say, up front, it's not for everybody, and he says so himself. Basically, it's one of those where it's a challenge rule set for One Vision that is technically only supposed to be for like 3 or 4 battles. It does actually work for full runs. I went and I've been testing that for a little bit myself, and it works, but it's very difficult to keep hold of. And please, 40%, don't do it. Thank you. Oh man, that was all right. If we could not, please. Oh, all right. Game, are we done being rude? Thank you. Out of curiosity, can we pull off a big upset here? No, no, no. Okay. I mean, this is still winnable for sure. Basically, all we need is to take a couple turns to heal. But yeah, got punished real good there. The end game AI will do that. So it basically goes early on. You can basically abuse skill ranks to get yourself ahead. You can pretty much curb stomp them with some pretty good regularity, as long as you keep your ranks where they should be. If you go a bit beyond that, the AI will suddenly start having a whole bunch of advantages, like for example ranged weapons that can actually get past evasion armor, so if they end up landing, they end up getting some pretty solid scaling. And then from there it ends up going up further, to the point where a lot of stuff is just outright threatening all the time. Okay, how do we handle this? So we definitely want that. Now let me prime this guy. No, I can't yet. What do we want to do? Alright, let's try breaching him. Because what I need is to get one of these clerics gone. Ideally, a strengthen would get our damage up the most, but once you're kind of closer to the end game, they're less likely to try to remove a breach than they are to try to remove your strengthen. And unfortunately, their health isn't low enough that they would prioritize healing over that, because they will almost always prioritize getting rid of your strengthen over helping one of their units, unless they're in really rough shape. Alright, we'll see if that's enough. Hopefully. Alright, if we go over here, then we can also guarantee that they'll... Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, there we go. That'll do it. And that is why we do the Armageddon build. It's basically like every other multiplayer Dark Souls build, where it just takes something that is otherwise not super threatening or a gimmick item and then just exploding it. But it's basically this, Cleric, Lord, and I mean, arguably there's a few others that can do something similar, where they can basically still move and still heal. Thing is, Cleric is a lot slower about it. So let's go ahead and aura you. And still do a solid amount of damage. Can put them into Darkiverse. I believe after this next round we should be up to 100 again. I'm not sure if it'll actually do more than just using aura again, or even just using demon. We'll see. We will see. Actually, interesting note that I found out recently. Apparently, so I always thought Daemon, like D-E-A-M-O-N. My understanding was always that that is just a misspelling of demon that means the same thing. Apparently, it is. Okay, so I could be wrong on this because I didn't look into it further, but supposedly it is a term actually referring to kind of like a, well, representative deity of a certain thing, or like a certain place or something, which suddenly makes a lot of its use make a lot more sense in context that I've seen it. Not really relevant too much to this particular situation, but just something that I recently found interesting. Alright, so from here, there's really nothing they can do. So if you're wondering how I've been doing all the whole grinding up thing, this is how. It's just this map over and over and over again. It is hands down the easiest in the game. It's still challenging, like you still have near-death scenarios all the time. I'd say the win rate is probably about 1-to-1, quite frankly, because there's so many cases where it can go wrong, but such is life. Also do poison lasers. Might as well. I really should make more use of Tidal Bore in these situations, because just having the ability to poison that many units is pretty strong. There's just so much that's strong about the whip. Like, it's obviously its main benefit is the fact that it's so dang quick, while still having a ton of damage to it. But just there's a lot of benefits. Yeah, Agony is actually getting reasonably strong at this point too. Alright, and looks like OBS has seemingly gotten stuck again. Alright, hang on a quick second, let me see if I can solve that. Okay, and back. So, it occurs to me that I was talking about Sheena's challenge there. I didn't actually explain what it even was. Because there's actually a few even modified rule sets for that one as well. But generally speaking, what that one boils down to. So you basically are limited in terms of the number of you can use. You're limited in terms of the number of heals and certain abilities you can use. You cannot actually lose a unit. So basically, if a unit bleeds out, you automatically lose. If you accidentally put more than one of what's listed as shutdown debuffs at once, you lose. It's basically there's like rules on rules on rules on rules, which is literally it's a fun one to play with, but it is one of those that unfortunately you got to keep checking back on it. It's like, did I break the rules? Did I break the game? Did we miss something here? That kind of stuff. So, give it a look if that sounds like your kind of thing. But yeah, just so you know, that is a thing out there. And yeah, so I wanted to do a full playthrough of that one once they nail down a complete rule set, and once once there's time for this again. So let's see if we can do Sanji. Because yeah, there's a ghost. Now, will the ghost count as a demon? So yeah, let's take a quick look. So all Umbra units. So the zombie units should work just fine. Actually, I'm going to think that, yeah, then there's really no reason to try this map, because we're just going to die on this map. It has amazing music, but yeah, we're just going to die if we try to do that map. So yeah, let's go ahead and go back over here, go to zombie map, and then just make that happen. Is there something else that we potentially want to raise up, though? Like, what other Augs do we have going? Because I think we have most of them ranked up at this point. Let's see, Air's maxed, Earth's maxed, Lightning. In fact, I think we can probably safely go for Swordboard for this one. Wait, he can use daggers? Really? Huh. Alright, yeah, daggers are probably worth it then. Spell Disrupting Talismans, sure. Let's go for a dagger build then. For this particular one, we shouldn't need any one-hit kills or anything. We're literally just going in there and just smacking stuff to get demonology up. I really wish OBS would stop getting stuck on me. Usually that means it's still transmitting, but I can never know for sure. The current setup got extended, but can't really say anything too much for its longevity. Actually, maybe we should go swords. Let's see. What level is this thing? 25? I mean, that's workable. It's not going to miss. We've got resistance over here. We've got a decent amount of threshold. I feel like both of them would be ranked up to where they need to be. We kind of want to rank up daggers anyway. This is a good excuse to do it. I've got parry at max already. Probably want to work on deflect, actually. Yeah, I mean, 6+1 is fine. If we really need it for something. For some reason I thought it was a bit less than that, but okay. So we'll go ahead and go for this completely fresh and minty build. Which, by the way, speaking of that whole factory job situation, yeah, if you ever wondered if there was a job of basically opening and closing toothpaste boxes for 8 hours straight, yeah, that's a thing you can do. Yeah, it's technically a thing. I don't really know why you'd be wondering about that kind of thing, but it's there. Alright, now do we have holy water for one thing? Yes, we have 9 of them, so if we ever do decide to end this fight, the option's there. Now, what kind of units are we looking at? So we got dragon. Okay, so we got a dragon, we got a knight, a sorceress, spellblade, Amazon, and Terra Knight. So the main one that we need gone before anything is going to be the Terra Knight. Let's see. Levitate's probably not a bad idea here. Swamp bonus kind of sucks. Actually, we'll go for Aryan Plume. Maybe I should have gone hammers for this. Go for the undead hammers. Yeah, so Umbrology is one of the very few cases where I kind of wish that the vanilla stuff got used. Only because, so Demonology makes more sense in terms of explaining what it is, because not many folks know what the hell Umbra means. But on the other flip side of that, well, I mean, it doesn't quite matter. Like, it says it's an Umbra unit, and granted, the skill also says, hey, this affects Umbra units, just so you know. But it's, you know, it kind of feels a little odd. I don't know if I'm the only one that thinks it does, but like it's not a bad thing. It's weird because it's kind of like an improvement, but also potentially confusing. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a moron. It's very possible I'm just a moron. That does come up more often than you think. All right. You know, if we actually stay right here and the guy just decides to never move, that's potentially a good thing. I guess it kind of comes down to whether he decided to bring in Terrifying Impact, which... Interesting. Okay, so yeah, this is one... Never mind. We don't even have to worry about that guy at all. This is perfectly fine. So all we need is dodge. We put up a dodge, and we just sit here and collect ranks. That's all we need to do. We can regenerate away any damage that they do. These are all going to be vanilla, basically vanilla unaltered units, so going to be very easy to train on. There's no word yet on when exactly all these fights will get redone. But yeah, if they have access, like they'll still have access to some features from the mod. But in many cases, they're a bit more chumpy than you'd probably expect at this point in the game. It's like several turns in, new game plus units, and they've yet to actually do any significant damage. They've done a couple planks and that's it. Okay, an Omni Strike. Okay, they got a slight little scratch off there. Oh, one guy managed to actually do a proper hit. It's like a miracle. It's a Christmas miracle. Don't know if any of the folks watching have been able to avoid watching Christmas movies yet. It's been kind of interesting going through absolutely every single one of them apparently lately. Netflix seems to have a never-ending supply. And actually, I saw this lady going into a surprisingly in-depth rant over the fact. So there's one of them that's kind of become, I guess, a modern classic for some folks. That's like about this reporter lady going for Christmas to some third world country, which inexplicably has a very British-looking monarchy, and yeah, long story short, ends up becoming queen because they're apparently that completely concerned over over keeping all their stuff in line. But anyway, so point being, somebody was going through and just kind of overanalyzing the whole situation just to see how functional of a system it would all be. It's like, yeah, it turns out this place is pretty much ready to fall apart the moment anything goes wrong. It's like they have exactly the wrong people for every job, and they seem to answer all of their problems by just celebrating Christmas. But yeah. Funnily enough, the main point of that review that they did wasn't even to bash on the thing, but actually to praise it for theoretically doing that on purpose. As in, like, was the entire thing just one deceptive ruse over how Christmas movies work or something? I don't know. It's possible. But, anywho. That's neither here nor there. We're here to stab a bunch of zombies for an extended period of time. So, okay, we've got daggers a quarter of the way up. How are we doing in Demonology? Not very well, but it's going up very slowly. It'll eventually get there. We don't really want to exercise too many of these. Or any, really. Might potentially go after the ghosts. Because there's really no reason for them to be there. Maybe her, too. Actually, no, probably the Fencer should be... Oh, crap. No, this is still survivable. Actually, this right here is why, unfortunately, the TK, while being somewhat viable in the early game, it's for the purposes of a run like this, it's just not possible to run a TK this late in the game. Simply because you need to have ways to react to shutdown debuffs. And while already few classes can just do that on their active moves, some other ones are fast enough to be able to just react in some other way. When it comes to the TK, they are just so painfully slow that it's just not going to happen. Alright, maybe we do want to get rid of a couple of these just to be safe. Maybe if we get it down to 3. So we'll just... Oh, crap, we actually might not get the option. Alright, come on, survive! Survive! Oh, hell. Alright. That's fine, that's fine. They got some lucky hits in, we can make that work. So what we need to do is ideally get that down to about 3 of them. And then yeah, we'll go from there. While that's loading back up, let me see if Mr. Dude Guy has responded about that link. Dang cough. So dang dry. Alright, good. We got the other one right away. So one thing I'd like to do, if we can, rather than Ogre Dark, because that's not really doing anything for us here, do we have a lightning? Okay, we've already maxed out lightning. I mean, I guess that's fine. Slap that on there. Can we do any better counters? No, we're locked at a low counter. Yeah, potentially something like a slow ward would be pretty handy. Or a stop ward. Yeah, because then I can take more turns healing. Yeah, let's just do that. Because raw damage isn't really of too high of a concern in this one. So, this actually brings to mind a cool thing about the scaling in this game. Or the way that that actually assigns units. So, in this case, the reason that these ghosts aren't really doing any damage or being a threat whatsoever, so many of the ghosts that you see that come in, like let's say actually altered by the mod, they'll come in with Draconics, because a lot of the basic casters, a lot of the medium casters, they'll tend to have Draconics on them, which gives them a very solid way to just avoid any kind of defenses that you have. If you're low on resistance, I mean, they basically turn into an instant Sphinx, let's put it that way, if you played OB64. So if you have low resistance, they'll use their basic stuff. If you have good resistance, they'll use their physical stuff. And it's still all magic-y, and they're still doing a ton of damage with it. So all their options are fairly well on the table. So I'm going to go after this guy first. I'll actually put up the side step here. Since endgame crossbows, no matter what, are just kind of scary. So we'll do that. But as you've seen, they can go pretty fast. And so this is why my eventual build is going to probably be something along the lines of like probably going to be the whip build that I have up on the guide, where it's essentially a Lord build with evade and mind's eye. Which sounds really weird, but the idea is that it sits in the middle of a fight. just generating TP, healing over and over, using Mind's Eye to avoid any regular melee hits while still building up TP and countering. On top of that, when it comes to the finishers, Evade handles the finishers. So basically, Evade, Mind's Eye is, bar none, the best kind of defense you can get. If there's a situation where you absolutely need to deal single target damage, then just swapping that out for a two-hander works just fine. The only downside is two-handers are way, way slower than whips. Potentially there's a lighter weight option by going for an Ogre Divine build with a Cudgel. Simply because the J lasers are, the satellite lasers are pretty dang strong. Despite the fact that I was kind of saying it would have been an interesting reference back in the day when it first got named, I'm not so sure about the naming of that particular move these days. But oh well. Yeah, it's kind of odd. I think it's just one of those things that, despite so many different things over the years, it's not a word that you can comfortably say. It's probably why they ended up why they still had the effect in the game, but they didn't actually end up sticking with it. I think they changed it to Heaven's Gate or something. Which, based off how it looks, yeah, I guess that's a sensible name. So, what we need to do is get rid of the archers. We're going to get rid of one of these casters here, just because it's an opportunity. And actually, we're going to take a couple turns to do that. Jeez, these guys are just rolling their 40% relentlessly. Oof. If you could not do that, that'd be fantastic. But yeah, the ideal setup for this map, which I hope to not have to use that other salve. Them suckers are expensive. Unfortunately, the one thing that this run has been very, very clear about is the fact that we are going to be broke pretty much all the way through. So, yeah. Endgame consumables are expensive. Anywho, so yeah, I'm thinking like Mind's Eye Evade, which if you're wondering where you get Evade, you actually get that off Art of War. So basically, you can put in Venom on there as well. A nice little combo. If you could please not break my butt, that'd be fantastic. And butt got broken. Okay, deal with the archers first. Got it. Probably should go swords, huh? But I really want to do daggers. Alright, we'll give it one more try with daggers before we call it. Because, yeah, and I have to go in about 40 minutes anyway. Well, 40 minutes or sooner. It kind of depends on if the kiddos decide to get up, which, thankfully, this is one day where they decided not to get up at like 6 in the morning, so that's all well and dandy. Alright, what did I have here again? We have this thing, this other thing. Probably could have done with more than 3 hours of sleep. Oh well. Alright, now here is the million-dollar question here. If we switch this out for one of these, kind of upper... No, defense is going to be the same, it's just avoidance that goes up. They're pretty much maxed on the stuff anyway. Yeah, that's fine. That is perfectly fine. And I'm seeing one potential archer. Let's see. Alright, good. Only one archer. It's gonna be that old guy over there. This dry weather is annoying. Yeah, there's a lot of paranoia going around right now. It's like, whenever dry weather hits here, you basically see everyone coming up with a cough. So right now there's this whole kind of awkward initial meeting of everybody of like, just so you know, it's been dry. Everyone has the dry good morning cough. Just FYI, if I cough, already been tested this week, been through all of that, it isn't the thing, just so you know. Although, yeah, I gotta say, our our rates for all that are terrifying right now. Uh, like I think they said it's up like 60% or some crap, just in the last couple weeks. Like as soon as the cold hit, the thing is absolutely spiking all over the place. Which I guess that was one of the other reasons that I ended up leaving that whole factory job thing, because it was one of those places where I would try to sit down and have my 3 in the morning lunch there, and it's like folks are sitting there like, "Oh man, can you believe they made up this whole virus thing?" Like, dude, my wife works in the lab where they test them. No, nobody made anything up. Like, this crap is terrifying. Like, no, but they only use some of the hospital beds. Like, no. No, they're using, like, I think their example's like 6% or something like that. It's like, how many beds do you think have ventilators? I mean, a lot of them are nearing capacity right now, if not at capacity. Like, I think there's at least one city that's at capacity right now, and the rest are getting up there pretty dang quick. So that's fun and terrifying. Hopefully that works out. Sounds like eventually next year stuff might improve a little bit. Until then, yeah. Until then we got a, for lack of a better term, interesting political situation. I kid you not. So I know a lot of folks that watch this are from other places, right? So I just want to know other countries' take on this, because okay, I understand, like, when it comes to politics, sometimes stuff gets really vile, people start spreading all kinds of lies and whatever else. Ours in particular, over the last few years, like, the only way that they've been able to try and get their base to rally behind them for all kinds of really shady crap that they keep doing has basically just been to lie, not even through their teeth. Like, they've blown those teeth out a long time ago. They will just straight up make up whatever at this point, regardless of how unbelievable it is. But okay, so all that said, okay, if you were to think, okay, so they lose an election, right? You'd think that's all well and done. How do you go about trying to tell people, like, okay, you had all these legal things that you tried to do, that didn't work out, they tried this, that, or the other, none of it worked, because what the hell, why would it? But then, once all said and done, ooh, let's see. Hang on, sorry, I got a little thing up that's blocking your message. No, let me see the message. Dang it. OBS, why are you like this? Anyway, nice to see you, Chaos. Sorry, your message is completely cut off by this box here, so I can't quite read all of it. But yeah, so, yeah, I see a thing about the speedrun. I don't know why I have a picture sitting over the text box. But yeah. Anyway. So what was I getting at here? So, how do I make this go away? Just click here. I click here. There we go. There we go. Yeah. So yeah, getting up to scratch in AC is pretty dang fun though. Yeah, I'm glad to see that those are actually somehow still doing okay all this time later, because those were literally just made on a whim one day. Because I saw some folks had just started new runs of AC3, and they're like, "Oh man, I don't remember where anything is. How do I play this game anymore?" I'm like, you know what? I just finished like 3 back-to-back challenge runs of this thing. Let me throw some random crap at you. See how that works out. But okay, so to finish the random thing about the political dealie from before. So obviously, you know, politics are one of those things that'll get people really riled up. But in most cases, it's due to, like, you know, I believe this thing or I believe this thing. In our case, it's like, how do you even believe that, right? The reason I say this, so one from yesterday that absolutely blew my mind that I still don't understand to this day. So they lose their election thing, whatever else. And how do they try to write it off as they still won anyway? Oh, it's okay, guys. The other guy is a hologram. Yeah. they literally, we're trying to say the other guy didn't physically exist. Like, there's denial, and there's just like, how are people still buying this? Dude, I'm so ready for all that cult crap to be done. It's so, it's so dumb. It's transcended beliefs, and it's just become its own attempt at a really dumb religion. So, yeah, here's hoping it doesn't get more terrifying than that at some point. That there's still a few months to go. Anyway, enough on that unhappy topic. So yeah, stabbing zombies, you know, it's kind of our deal here. So we're gonna be. It looks like we're pretty much ideal for the setup here. As long as they don't have archers, they shouldn't be getting any lucky hits through. So Prince Tupac 2024. You know what? Why not? Sure, let's make that happen. As they're running against like Michael Jackson and a T-Rex. No, you know what? They need the Godzilla Mothra ticket. That's who they need. Like if you're gonna make holograms run for everything, just start making random stuff in there. I mean, I'd vote Godzilla Mothra. They probably got a pretty good policy for everything. Can't get everybody whipped up into a pointless frenzy if you can't even speak English. So yeah, why not? All right, come on, parry that. Parry it. Ah, you dick. Yeah, they... Oh, no. Stop doing that. Stop doing these back-to-backs, guys. Come on. Chill. This is always going to be the danger in these late-game things, because we have a whole lot of things to get through, and... Well, as you see, when they end up nailing like 40% after 40%, we only have 460 health to work with. That's the downside of the Warlock. They do not have a whole lot of health compared to some others. Like, if we're running Knight or something like that, we can get up to 600 plus at that point, but I think 689 was the highest I've been able to get it so far. Yeah, those two aren't too terrifying until they come in with their random ruinations. I'd still like to get at least a couple of these down. Because if they get back-to-backs, we're still dead. Really all we need is 3 melee units. Ooh. Okay, that was lucky. Let's not pretend that was anything but luck. Alright, so who is relatively low at this point? Alright, we'll just aura you. Alright, so next round we'll get rid of that one. Two-handers and axes are going to be pretty threatening. Spears have a lot of longer range moves. Generally tend to make them pretty scary. Thank you, 25% for hitting. Yeah, it's really rare that real life completely one-ups anything South Park predicted. Like, they're usually pretty spot on with a lot of things, but man, who could have seen this, all this coming? Like, it's legit, just like, it's like, okay, it's seriously a cult versus, I don't even know what you'd call it. Like, I guess a high school staff trying to, punch way above their weight class versus just literally a straight up cult. I have no idea how it's gotten this far, but actually I do have an idea of how it got this far. I've been reading a whole lot into a whole lot of different histories, just trying to piece together, how exactly they got to they maneuvered to that position, and yeah, it's been a long road. I mean, it was that times a million. Like, let's be blunt. Even back in 2016, I'm pretty sure most folks didn't like the lady, but whoo boy, has that gotten out of hand. Really, really out of hand. It's like, sure, folks may not have liked him very much, but they didn't try to start wars every other week. Or, randomly tear gas protesters, or like literally just to go get a picture. It was so dumb. I mean, when I was saying earlier that it's kind of transcended politics to the point that they're just straight up lying about everything at this point. I mean, it kind of goes back to a lot of strategies from back in the day, as they say, if you want to do something, accuse your opponent of doing it first, which is basically their approach to everything. But as soon as the whole, he's friends with like a friggin' pedophile thing came out, yeah, then immediately they started trying to paint the other guy as a pedophile, which I started getting yelled at by a guy at work. Because I was talking to somebody that I legitimately would have thought would have been on the blue side of things. And so, we were talking, I'm like, I'm ready for all this cult stuff to be over with. I want to be able to talk to half of my relatives again. Because they're, like, every time I go over there, they're just spouting propaganda, and they start trying to get my kids to start worshipping their guy and everything. It freaks me the hell out. They're like, oh, you're gonna go support a pedophile? Like, wait, what? Like, yeah, no, there's all this evidence, but it's hidden so much that nobody will ever be able to find it. That's how you know it's legit. Like, so the absence of evidence is evidence for you? I don't understand, man. It makes no sense. But that's kind of been what they've been selling folks, so it's like half of it has been just some folks that will literally follow the party to the ends of the earth with no questions asked whatsoever. The other half, so we've had this thing flying around for a couple of years now. I think it was possibly around before that. It was this QAnon thing that's, I guess, some random guy claiming to be an insider on somehow everything ever. Yeah, exactly. Like, they for folks that weren't aware of it, this is comparing with the fact of a guy that has on multiple occasions talked about wishing that he could do it with his own daughter, like on TV. Like, it's so weird. Where they're like, there's complete obvious evidence on this side. They're like, no, that just means they were just messing around. This other guy with no evidence, though, that absence of evidence, you don't know what that there wasn't evidence for. Like, dude, are you high? Like, how much drugs did you do before this conversation? Man. Yeah, sorry, it was super cathartic this last weekend. Just to finally, just all the pictures come out of them looking all sad, and like, oh man. You mean insulting everybody and making people shoot each other wasn't the answer to everything? I don't understand. Yeah, okay. Sorry, it's been a really weird year. Like, it was weird before, but yeah. Trying to convince an entire country that a dude that won the election is a hologram? Seriously? It's just something that we'll hopefully never see again. You know? But plus, what else are you going to discuss while repeatedly slapping around like zombies here? So as long as we take out one more, we should be safe. And ideally, I want it to be the Spencer. I know the other one there is about to go down. Yeah, she was already knocked down once. That's why that's going on. Okay. Yeah, alright. You know what? We'll settle for getting him out of here. Worst case scenario, we can probably just go down to just maybe two of them. We'll just let one fencer run around, throw around his stuff wherever. Basically, being hit by these guys and hitting them is still giving us experience one way or the other. So yeah, at least the church isn't telling us, taking over, telling us to kill the cats. Wait, what? This is about cats now. I mean, there's been so many, like, here's another world-ending story moments that it's hard to even keep track anymore. Oh, okay. Dark Ages Tomb Raider, that makes a bit more sense then. That makes more sense. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember the thing about the cats, but that tracks. That seems legit. Yeah, this guy has Tyrant's Fists for days. Why does he keep doing that? Alright, so how are we looking on those points? Are we close to ranking up anything? It's like basically once Demonology... So after this part, by the way, I just wanted to make sure that this worked. What I'm probably going to do is probably just put a... once we get close to the end of this year, which is coming up relatively soonish, probably just put up a... like an in-battle save, and then I'm just going to literally sit here stabbing a knight over and over until we get to rank 8. And then that'll be that. We'll be all good to go. Because at this point, it should be pretty much impossible to lose this. All we gotta do is repeatedly stab them over and over. It's like we can't kill them, they can't kill us unless we go for some very specific moves. Ideally get one of those out of the way so they stop doing wind scythes. Maybe that guy, because he's hitting a little bit harder. I don't know. Shizarkat's evil. Oh, right. Okay. It's been a hot minute since, yeah. Yeah, the church saw a lot of different things as evil at different times. Actually, it's been interesting to see this latest pope circle them around on so many things. Like, just the other week, the pope actually okayed gay folks by Christianity. I'm like, you know what? That is surprisingly overdue, considering they actually started gay marriages, but okay. Yeah, funny historical note, by the way, for folks that didn't know. You know all them, like, friars living out in the middle of nowhere, getting drunk all day? Yeah, well, eventually that did turn into, you know, folks, obviously getting a tad bored and doing other stuff. But, you know, since the only requirement of the church at that point was, well, just get married and we don't care, that they kind of actually started that whole thing, which is super weird because they're against it now officially, although now I believe officially they're kind of not. It's like a lot of the populace is still set in that angry 70s and 90s parent kind of way, where they're just like mad at everything and they don't know why. It's like, oh, I don't understand it, therefore it must be evil. Actually, funnily enough, while it did get a bunch of other things wrong, that one song at the end of Pocahontas definitely holds up to everything. It's like, they're different from us, that means they must be evil. There's more or less the mentality there. But yeah, it's funny because the church used to be super progressive, and then just somehow, well, not somehow. So remember I was saying before that it's like there is a kind of clear and logical series of events in terms of how everything kind of got to where it is today. Well, I mean, it was kind of the same thing with the church. It used to be fairly progressive. Over time, it was in that little bubble there because, well, frankly, they were outcasts for the longest time. I mean, it started off back in Rome. They were just considered a cult for the longest time. Which, I say they, I mean, officially, technically, I'm a Catholic. I went to Catholic school, was given that whole education, then looked into the history of it later, and just kind of always found it interesting to read up on it and learn the whys of everything, so to speak. I don't know, the reasons why people did stuff always interested me, but anyway, so they were fairly progressive at their given times, kind of in the past, simply because, yeah, they were the outliers, they were the weird ones, they needed to get more people in there, so they're like, you know, here's all these progressive things. And as far as I can tell, after World War II, specifically with Woodrow Wilson and stuff like that, a lot of the, like, sitting, pearl clutching, kind of like scared of everything Christianity started to become more of a thing. So, like, instead of, like, just try to be a good person and try to improve yourself and try to be nice to people and take care of the poor and don't be a dick, it turned into, like, oh man, Jesus hates everything forever, you should go condemn it. And, yeah, let's see. Zeus stuck it to many things for all the gods? Yeah, fair. The guy was easily bored, okay? But no, oh wow. Okay, we're gonna have to skip a few turns here to give these guys a chance. So, okay. So that was kind of the funny thing there, because yeah, if you look at a lot of the kind of unintentional effects of Wilson there, at the time, by accounts of a lot of other world leaders at the time, they just kind of viewed him as a weirdo, and he was just kind of there. But a lot of the mentalities that he stuck around did end up sticking around for quite a while. Ended up giving rise to kind of different bastardizations of different things over time. It's just weird, because honestly, the guy was like just a vanilla ice cream cone that nobody paid attention to for the most part, but so much of the stuff that he was preaching still stuck around. History is weird like that. So, the answer a lot of folks are always looking for seems to be something a bit more dramatic, and then you go back and you look at the origins of a lot of stuff, and it's usually pretty dang mundane. But anyhow, that's vague as hell. Alright, we close to getting any ranks here, or are we just doing this forever? Okay, daggers are almost at rank 2. How are we doing on demonology? Okay, 61.2. This is still going to take a while. Interesting thing is, it's still a little bit of an interesting grind, I feel. Oh, didn't mean to use that one, actually. For some reason, I thought it was still... Why on earth was it on Stop Ward? I've been using and still heal. And still health. Alright, and it seems like the kiddos are on their way up here. I just saw the lights come on. So we'll probably be wrapping it up here pretty soon. But yeah, so in terms of that link there, keep an eye out on that guide there. I'll try to get that link up as soon as he responds to me. He's usually around in the afternoons. As soon as he responds, I'll go get that link updated. Figure out what's wrong with that. It all comes down to those kids listening to rock and roll, that Elvis Presley, dude. Have you ever seen all the original posters for Jazz? It's like, as soon as Jazz came out, man, for some reason, hardline Catholics were pissed. Like, oh man, this is like, literally Jazz was the original rock and roll. It's hilarious. I mean, to be fair, they did literally say all that stuff. I mean, it's just kind of... Okay, the reason that I find it so funny, though, is, like, so I mentioned going to Catholic school earlier. Dude, they would get mad at you for everything as being satanic. So I had a deck of cards I picked up at a garage sale that somebody had stuck a bunch of, like, fortune cookie notes to. And I kid you not, teacher comes up to me, slaps my hand, takes them away. Why are you practicing with tarot cards? This is devil worship. Like, we're playing blackjack. Oh, that's gambling. Like, we're just sitting and waiting, lady. We're waiting for cards to come. Why? Like, no. This is all the devil's work. Like, dude, not everything's the devil's work. So, like, okay, can't play cards. So we end up bringing Bionicles to school, right? It's like, no. This is commercialism. It's also the devil's work. Oh, for God's sake. It's like, this looks like demons, because it was one of those ones that you push the button for in the back, and it's got like little, it's like the ball and claw thing with a little beak head. Which, to be fair, those, like, looking back at those things, they are kind of nightmarish looking. Like, they're supposed to launch a friggin' face hugger and stuff. But yeah, no, they didn't used to be like that. That's the crazy part. That they used to be the progressive thing. But yeah, so let's see. Bionicles got told no, so I'm like, okay, screw it, I'll bring a Game Boy. Like, oh no, you're living in another virtual world, then this is also devil worship. Like, okay, crap, what the hell? So, like, I bring some dang Legos, and like, no, they've got a weapon in their hand. Like, it is a stick. Let the man have a stick. I'm just... So, like, okay, can't have that. So I go and I had, like, little bits and pieces of a Star Wars thing, so I put one of the little droid things together. And I go bring that thing, like, no, 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 it's machinery, it's also the... Like, dude! Why are the science and PE teachers the only ones that aren't dicks? Okay, and the math teacher, but he was just kind of weird. But anyway, man, Catholic school is a trip. Actually, come to think of it, no. Now that I think about it, the principal nun was weirdly enough more casual about everything than many of the other sisters that were there, because they were a bit more self-aware, I guess, for lack of a better term. But man, it was wild. And yeah, there was a lot of new stuff in the 90s, especially. A lot of stuff scared them. You know, don't want to have your mind warped by that SpongeBob. He's coming for your soul. And, you know, the funniest part, though, a lot of the... So, okay. So, again, this kind of goes back to being forced to read the dang thing constantly grown up. But most of the Bible verses that are used to justify this, that, or the other for a lot of the stuff these days are not even kind of close to the meaning that they're going for. Actually, Mr. Vale was pointing out recently, like, honestly, Judaism has it right. So, on the Judaism side of things, they don't really go for a, here's our answer for everything, get on board or get out kind of thing. Their whole deal is like, we're going to discuss this forever. What's your take on it? Okay, that's interesting. Here's my take on it. No one's right. We just keep discussing and learning. That's what the point of this is. Meanwhile, on the Catholic side, like, oh man, you know what? I read this book about some guy that got turned into a goat. So that means that, I mean, obviously horses are evil, and we should just go and euthanize them all. That's our new policy. Get on board or get out. I'm trying to remember what exactly it was with the horse thing. There was one pope that, for whatever reason, was really against horses. Anyway. But, was that horses? I might be thinking of something else. Anywho, but no, there was, so, like, the one in particular where they're like, oh, man, oh, good morning! How we doing, guys? Did you sleep real good? Yeah. Yeah, you want a sandwich? I can see what we can do. You want a cheese stick? Okay, I think that's all doable. Okay, so, anyway, enough about all that for now. So I gotta get going then. So yeah, I will see all folks later. Thank you for stopping by. Again, I'm hoping the work schedule improves at some point. We can, you know, do these a bit more regularly. I know they're crazily long periods apart at this point. But yeah, so thank you for stopping by, and yeah, hopefully I was hoping to have a small moment to get a video that I wanted to do on an Ogre battle for a couple months, for about a month now out. Yeah, the kiddos are awake. They came by to say hi right now. What oranges are we talking about?